Some of you might remember my Secret Rings challenge run video where I said I think there's a lot that people don't know about this game, like how you can disable parts of Sonic's basic moveset after you beat it to save up skill points. While thinking back on that, I can confidently say that I've spent more time playing and researching this game than a large majority of people, and from that time I've amassed a few bits of trivia about this often overlooked Sonic game that even some super fans of the franchise might not know about. So to get right into it, here's 7 secret facts about Sonic and the Secret Rings. Let's start with an easy one that some of you might actually already know about. Yep, Big the Cat actually makes an appearance in this game in the form of a somewhat obscure Easter egg. In a few particular, seemingly randomly chosen missions, if you break in a super specific spot for like 5 seconds, the camera will pan over to reveal Big doing something on the stage, like fishing, swimming, breakdancing. Once you discover this, a new entry in the special book is added with a screenshot of Big and a little blurb about what he's doing there. Some of these are pretty funny, but there's literally no way anybody would possibly be able to find these on their own. So it's probably a ploy to get people to buy the strategy guide or something. Check out the description for a video going over all the Big sightings. If you go on the archived flash file for the Japanese Secret Rings website, one of the links takes you to a blog ran by the developers, which is surprisingly still up as of this video. There's actually a lot of really good stuff on there, and I'll leave a link in the description. They give tips and explain mechanics and stuff, but some major notable moments include this one section where the developer expresses excitement about the future of games taking on new control styles with the Wii, and some surprisingly honest and self-aware statements about how parts of the game can be tough to control at first. They even recommend expert players try holding the remote in a weird way to spice things up, and there's this one article about clipping the level geometry to send Sonic flying. It kinda reminds me of how the developers of Frontiers knew about the homing dash during development. I really do wonder who wrote this blog though, because I couldn't find any name associated with it. Something else notable about the blog is that it hosts some videos that are uploaded to a long-forgotten YouTube channel that just screams pre-corporate 2007 YouTube. A semi-random profile picture, no banner or about tab, a channel name that's vaguely official but also not really. Nobody would think this was a Sega channel with videos from the game developers, and it's lasted all this time completely under the radar. Until now. And one last thing, there actually was an official English version of this blog hosted at some point with a few different posts. I specifically remember going on it a long time ago and seeing it use videos from this very same YouTube channel. It was especially notable to me because there was a post on it that isn't on the Japanese version from when Black Knight came out advertising the game. And they literally said, and I don't even think I'm paraphrasing that much here, "Don't worry, there isn't a dinosaur egg mission in this game." The problem though is that I don't remember the URL. But I can't discover it the same way I discovered the Japanese site because the American Secret Rings website was taken down and all the Internet Archive snapshots are completely broken. I even downloaded and extracted the SWF file to see if the links were hardwired in there and it was just a display problem or something, but no luck. So the blog might still be out there somewhere, but it's completely undiscoverable at this point, and my research was unable to find anybody linking to it. So consider this a call to action. If any of y'all know or can somehow find the American version of the blog, please let me know in the comments. This is the only fact in this list to come from the aforementioned blog, because once I learned about it, it completely blew my mind. They both have to do with the soul gauge, particularly the speed break and time break moves. I always knew that you could use speed break to damage the Ifrit's head, but did you know that you can skip homing attacking these barrels by just speed breaking over these giant gaps? That shouldn't be possible, but it is. Even cooler than that though is that if you equip the slowed search skill and use time break while the Ifrit throws these barrels at you, you can actually homing attack one of the barrels to send it back, getting the final hit and ending the boss early. Dang. Slowed search is a pretty mysterious skill. The game doesn't really explain what it does, like, yeah, okay, you can lock onto objects, like you already could, but it turns out to have some pretty interesting use cases after all. The first release was the basic one that everybody knows, while the second one was the tie-in pack with Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, which was also featured on the back of the manual in the regular release. But there's actually 2 other releases that are a bit more obscure. One of these was exclusive to Target and comes with this DVD loaded with the snippet of the Secret Rings arc from the Archie Sonic comic. It's vaguely interactable, you can click on the panels to show speech bubbles and have elements move, but it's not the entire comic or anything, and you can get through it in about 5 minutes. The snippet they use is a conversation Sonic and Shara have about how the Arabian Nights characters look like Sonic's friends in the real world, which is a conversation they don't have in the actual game, at least not directly talking about it, so I guess it's a pretty nice addition to have. It's made using Adobe Flash, so it's got that nostalgic early web audio quality with the background music. It's also funny seeing Ian Flynn's name here, seeing as how he'd eventually go on to write the story for Frontiers. The second Frontiers reference in this video. But other than the Target release, there's one last version of this game that not even Sonic Retro has documented. And that is this copy I got off Amazon for a whopping $1. It was a used copy and they sent it to me in this jewel case, so there's no box. But what makes this copy special is the way that the disc is printed. Both the initial release and the Target one have a reflective disc with a lot more depth and detail, but this release I have is just a flat print of the game's logo, making me think that this is probably a later print made to save on costs. This is actually the version I personally bought first, so imagine my surprise when I look the game up and see every other documented disc is the cool shiny one. So I figured I'd buy this Target copy and claim my place as that Secret Rings guy who bought 2 copies of the game. Some of you might know that a codename for Secret Rings was Sonic Wildfire, but I'm not just talking about the name here. This game was revealed alongside the Wii before its release, and there's a demo of it on the showroom floor that has a few interesting differences from the final release. The first you'll notice here is that the title screen is completely different with this 3D genie lamp, but then the game opens up this book to give you a quick tutorial on the controls that's honestly better than the one in the final game. It actually visually shows you how to move the controller, and reveals one major difference in Sonic's control. Speed Brake used to be activated by lifting the remote upwards while on the ground. Thank goodness they changed that. The gameplay itself isn't that different other than the HUD design, particularly with the soul gauge being circular and numeric. When Sonic beats the level, the camera cuts to him smiling and giving a thumbs up. The other major difference is that the version of Sand Oasis's theme, Let the Speed 2 Mend It, I don't know what the 2 is doing there, is completely different from the final version. A lot of the instruments are missing and the lyrics are delivered differently, even having an entire verse that isn't in the final one. Take a listen. This version is also used in a pre-release trailer, so while we don't have the audio completely by itself, we can still hear what it once was. Alright, one more until we're at the fact in the thumbnail, guys, hang in there. This one will be quick. There's a few sections in Levitated Room where you shift along these walls with fountains of sand spitting on them. Sonic will make a comment about how he could run across this section if the sand wasn't there, but at no point are you ever able to turn this sand off. Maybe I'm reading too deep into it, but it seems like a strange detail to bring up, since there's plenty of other shifting sections without sand, and the way that the game highlights these fountains makes me feel like there was originally supposed to be something here that wasn't fully realized. Speaking of things that aren't fully realized, this is where I blow your mind. What I'm about to tell you single-handedly made me want to make this video. If this didn't exist, I would have just wrapped these facts into a general Secret Rings review. I have never seen any other human being on Earth acknowledge the existence of the following. Ladies and gentlemen, this game has rail leaning. This game, where most people ignore the grind rails, has grind mechanics most similar to the fan-favorite Sonic Adventure 2 and the somewhat less fan-favorite Sonic Heroes. I'd always noticed grinding rails in this game. Sometimes Sonic will do this little lean before jumping. It must just be an animation thing. Anytime this happened, I would either immediately do a trick and get put on another rail which refreshes Sonic's speed and animation, or the rail would just end. So I decided to investigate by going to Lost Prologue's rail grind tutorial, jumping on the first rail I saw, tilting the remote ever so slightly, and look, oh my god. What the fuck? They actually bothered to put it in the game, bro? Oh my god. But like, why? Why did they bother? That's so weird. What? Oh my god. Yeah. Look at that. Sorry if I felt like I was hyping it up too much, but it's like when Cybershell found that one sprite from Sonic 2 that even some sprite sheets were missing. It's just that moment of discovering something in plain sight about a game you thought you knew everything about, and had seen everything it had to offer. But much like that sprite from Sonic 2, the rail leaning in Secret Rings is barely registerable. In order to initiate this leaning, you need to tilt the remote extremely carefully to one side. Even approaching a 45-degree angle will have Sonic jump off the rail for a trick. During the actual game, most rails are so short, or move on to another rail to reset Sonic, or you're too busy preparing to do a charge jump or something, that you'll actually never encounter this in-game. The most I can think of is maybe in Levitated Ruin when the wind is blowing against you. Like maybe it's supposed to be a challenge to hold the remote steady. But it can't be that, because if you tilt the remote too far, you'll just do a trick. So why bother adding in a feature that slows you down if you tilt the remote like 15 degrees but not more? My theory is that at some point, this game had curved rails like the other games or even Sonic and the Black Knight. If you look closely, you'll notice that every rail in this game is actually just a straight rail. In order to make a curve, they just place two straight rails in front of one another, with one at an angle. That's why Sonic reorients himself each time he hits them, because he's going from one object to another. There are plenty of moments in the game that could have had truly curved rails to lean on in order to gain more speed, but I think they probably realized at some point early on in development just how difficult it was to get the tilt down, or if there weren't tricks, kind of how annoying it is to have to charge jump to go between the rails. So in an effort to simplify things, they got rid of the curved rails, maybe added the trick system if it wasn't already there, and just left the leaning in because why not? Maybe somebody in the future will discover it and make a YouTube video freaking out about it. With these 7 facts in hand, you can speed through nights with remote in hand.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Hit like if you bothered to watch for this long, leave a comment if you found anything intriguing, and consider subscribing if you want more Sonic stuff in the future.